It's Hi gang, welcome to Mike on Monday, the only West Ham show done on a Monday by a bloke called Mike, and here we are. Welcome back to the show, folks. I am here because West Ham are doing a football thing. Yes, on Saturday the 20th of June, which seems like a weird date to be playing football, West Ham will be taking on Wolverhampton Wanderers at 5:30 p.m. In the audience or crowdless London Stadium. Now, for those of you who think it doesn't have an atmosphere at the best of times, this is going to be a weird one. I personally quite like the atmosphere there. I obviously see some miles away. None of that matters anymore. It'll be... there was a lot of fuss, wasn't there? A lot of people didn't want to play at neutral grounds. Some people don't like neutral grounds because they wanted some of like Greek yogurt, which is quite neutral. Oh, that's natural. Oh, well, never mind. And yeah, some people wanted to play them at home. There's not going to be fans. There's not going to be spectators. It'll be weird. I did watch a couple of games of the German Bundesliga, yes. And it was weird. You could hear the players shouting and swearing in German. I'd be quite interested to see what the shouting and swearing will be like in this country. Though, of course, most of the players aren't English, so it won't make that much difference, will it? But anyway, it will be lots of fun to at least have the football back. Lots and lots of speculation about who will be in the team. Will we see Souček playing? He looks like he's staying, which is good. Are we going to... what lineup will Moyes pick? What tactics will Moyes pick? Will he play Snodgrass? Who is Snodgrass? Everyone's forgotten about Snodgrass. There's only one place to find out what will happen tactically. You know where that is, people. It's over to Mike at the Tactics Centre. Mike, what's going to happen in our first game back in 2 weeks? Tell us! Thanks, Mike. Welcome to the Tactics Centre. With football about to restart, how will West Ham shape up? Will they be a ferocious animal looking to win at any cost, or will they be a tame, cutesy monstrosity that we don't even recognise? Who knows? Let's have a look at what Moyes has tactically and see just how we will take on Wolverhampton Wanderers on Saturday, the 20th of June. David Moyes will be looking to his team to play down the wings in a parallel vertilax action, attempting to regain possession whenever they lose it, and fight off the Wolverhampton Wanderers players using ball skills. This being a football match, there will be a goal at the other end. Some people suspect that Moyes will play a long ball game, hoping to pump the ball forward from the back longwise. This is a system that he has used at other clubs, involving very pacey wingers and footballers. But some feel that he won't. Personally, I think West Ham will attempt to play a game of football and hope that the players don't end up COVIDed and out of action. Expect to see Rice and Souček in midfield and Wilshere out of action for this one. Haller will play up front like a kitten. Hopefully he will be accompanied by Mikel Antonio, who will have more arms and stand up more. Whatever happens, there will be a result. That's if the game isn't cancelled. Back to Mike in the studio. Thanks, Mike. Cracking stuff, as usual. Take that, Athletic. You won't find that kind of cutting-edge, analytical brilliance in the Athletic, but you will find it here on the Hammers Chat. Remember to subscribe to both channels and drop a like button and ring the bell and take your clothes off while you're doing it. Right, brilliant. So here we are back and playing now. West Ham famously don't like doing business in the January transfer window, but this January, I know it seems like an eternity ago because it was literally 6 months ago, but the thing is, this year we had new manager-ish, well, remanager, can you have a remanager? He came back, David Moyes, and they spent the money. They brought in Jared Bowen and Thomas Suchek into the team. Now, if we stay up and Suchek stays, which it looks like he will do if we stay up, and I'm quietly confident we will, by the way, but I'll come back to that later. The thing is, that's 40 odd million spent in the January transfer window on two. We've only seen a bit of them because of obviously the interruption, but two players who look, pretty damn good. That's 40 million backing the new, even if he's a renew manager. From Mr. Sullivan and co. Now, you've got to give them some credit. They've actually backed the new manager with players that he wanted. I assume he wants them because they look quite good and he wants to play them. So, yeah, no, I know some of you aren't happy to hear me say good things about the board, but let's be fair. No, look, stop that. Look, be fair. We have to be reasonable here. If they did spend money and they back. Oh, look, stop heckling me or I'll play the Jeremy Ngakia song on my guitar. Okay? Well, now, look, right, you've asked for it. Jeremy and Ngakia, Jeremy and Ngakia, Jeremy and Ngakia, Jeremy. Look, I'm as disappointed as you are that Jeremy Ngakia decided to leave. I mean, this guy's got potential, he's one of our academy players, etc. But look on the plus side, how much fun are we going to have giving him abuse when he turns up playing for whatever club he goes to as the opposition? That's of course if we're ever allowed inside a stadium again. Don't laugh, that might actually be the case. Also, just think how much fun we're going to have using his surname as a descriptive name. So it works really well. Like, oh dear, someone's Ngakia'd around here. Oh look, someone drank too much and Ngakia'd on the floor. And that player's playing like a bit of an Ngakia. Oh, it is him. It is him. He's playing for Spurs. Oh well. But he's left. He's leaving. And that's it. And I'm not really going to give out on the board for this because we're going to have some kind of wage sort of structure going forward. Look, there isn't. Everyone's saying, "Oh, we'll get an antidote to this virus and everything will be right." We're years off that happening, if at all. I have no idea when we'll be allowed back in to see football. I've got a feeling it's not going to be for a very, very long time. So that leaves a big financial hole at the heart of the club. No, Gonzo and Gio both talked about this, but we have to take this on to another level. So let's have a quick think about how football really works in the real world. Now, many people think that footballers are paid way too much money. The thing is, they're not. That is called capitalism. Now, I know you all think I'm some sort of mad lefty, but hear me out. This is how it works. The TV companies and to match ticket money and all this stuff, all this money goes into a club, and that money has to go somewhere. Now that everyone's worked out it can't just go to the clubs and to the owners, etc., it generally filters through to the players, and they are paid that much money. Now, you and I might think that's an obscene amount of money. Some of the money that the players are getting does seem ludicrous, but that's only to us in our little world, right? Because that money is there, it's being paid to the clubs, and that money, therefore, if the clubs want to do well and be in the Premier League, they need to pay players that kind of money to get them to play for their club. That's the bottom line. It's called capitalism. We vote for it every time, and that's why we have it. That is what causes that will kind of player wage inflation that happen in any industry. If there were, if suddenly there was a mass building spree going on, then we were all going to build millions of new houses. I mean, that sounds like common sense to me, but obviously not to lots of other people. Then what would happen is suddenly bricklayers would become really expensive, because there would be, you'd want all the best big players working for your company building houses, and there wouldn't be enough to go around, and so there would be some dodgy ones, but you wouldn't want them, you want the good ones would suddenly get begin paying wise. And that is what happens with footballers. It's just on a huge, much bigger thing. And of course, you have to kind of look at it a little bit as showbiz. I think football is show business, and you compare a top earning footballer to a top earning, I don't know what Drake earns, or something equivalent in the world of pop music, then Madonna, whatever, old reference, I'm old. Then that's what it becomes. That is how comes they earn that much money. It's not too much. It is what they are worth as the market. The market is dictating how much they're worth, and that is capitalism. We all love capitalism, and we all vote for it every time. That's what happens. Now, the agents are another story. But first, before we hit the agents, let's think about what happens though if that cash revenue coming into the clubs goes down. Then suddenly clubs won't be able to afford that kind of salary, and something will have to happen. They will either have to sell the players, probably take a loss on them that they can't afford to then pay, and bring in players that they can afford to play. There will need to be a rebalancing of the books if we no longer have that kind of money coming in. I think we will have that money coming in, because as much as we've got Sky and BT Sport competing for the rights for TV, we're going to have Amazon coming in big time. We know they want to come in and take. I've got a feeling you're going to find that the TV money will go up to cover the loss of the money of the ticket revenue for as long as this thing goes on. Whether people want to watch football without spectators in, that's another thing. That's the unknowable thing at the moment. We will see. Now, agents are another thing. Gonzo's talks a lot about agents and their leeches and blah blah blah, but agents again are there for a reason. They do a job. Now, I'm not here to defend them. I'm going to tell you a little story. Years ago, 1984, May 1984, not that long ago, 1994, when I was young once, hard to believe I know, I was a music promoter, and I did a gig thing at a place called The Venue in New Cross. About 6 months before then, so at the end of 1993, I was dragged to the 100 Club in London to see two new bands that were co-headlining, and neither of them had made a record or anything. I was dragged along to check out these new bands. One was called Whiteout, I wonder what happened to them, and the other one was called Oasis. Yes, Oasis, Geo. And Oasis were good. And I put together a little bill at the Venue in New Cross of acts I thought were going to be big in 1994. And I had Oasis, Shed 7 and Cast. And if you know your Britpop, it was a good call all along. This gig was rammed. Now, why am I talking about this? Because I want to talk about the role of agents in show business. Now, I booked that gig, or booked Oasis, through a guy called Ben Winchester, who was then Oasis' agent, and I'm pretty aware he was Oasis' agent right away through their career. Lovely guy, very good agent. And the arrangement they have is, in the show business then, in the music industry then, the agents and managers and whoever, is that the agent took 20% of the fee of whatever that act earned for any gigs they got them, that one being an example. Now, that is a standard practice for that industry, and the same with managers would get 20% of whatever the band earned for the stuff they've done, like record deal tours, whatever, merchandising, whatever, and it all came out from the act's end. The agent took from the act. So when I didn't have to go to an agent and pay an agent to then approach their agent to discover that no, you just went and, and if they didn't want to return my call, they didn't want to return my call and play my gig. That it's that basic. Now, that is the way that industry is developed culturally, and that is why it behaves that way. The football one is developed in this obscenely weird way where you have to approach an agent, you then approach an agent, and all these people get paid. And they're all paid by the buyer. Now, I was the buyer of Oasis's night that night, but somehow I'm just paid a fee, which would be the equivalent, I guess, of the transfer fee. But I'm also paid. I didn't then have to pay the agent's fee and everything. That was all from that original fee, and I'm part of it. Now, because culturally it's different, it will take legislation to change that. Everyone goes, oh well, yeah, this is big government now and blah blah blah, or big rule changing by whoever. Look, it's the only way it will get changed. And I'm talking with the whole COVID thing, legislation we really discovered quickly how quickly rules can change. 5 substitutes, not a problem, let's do it. We can change that. We can all be, I got furloughed and whatever. I know it's quite a good idea doing the furlough thing. That came in and that was quick, that was turned around quick. We could change this. We need to start campaigning for the whole agent thing, because that money goes straight out of football. It goes into offshore bank account. It's not even me being paranoid lefty here. That is genuinely where it goes. It goes to offshore bank accounts and is never seen by football again. While the transfer money that you are paying for us, if you want to buy Thomas Soucek, that went to the club he came from, and Jad Bowens went to, obviously went to Hull City, and the Hull City then have that money. Now they can bank it and get relegated, which looks like what they're doing, or they can spend it on other players and it gets back into, or maybe they could, bring in more coaches. They can spend it how they need to spend it. But the agents' fees, and that is a huge wedge of that money, isn't going there. And that needs to change, and that needs to be legislated. It's the only way we're going to do it. Rant over. What should we talk about next? Heroin. Yeah, no, I'm joking. So, and that really does need to change. It really, really does. Whether wages will change, that really does depend on the money coming in. But that is how it works. By the way, there's another thing I have to bring up while we're on the subject. There's been a lot of people on Twitter and on Facebook, etc., doing stuff to raise money for the NHS and the whole COVID thing. And while I think those people's hearts are in the right place, and I think it's a lovely thing to do, can I point out, because someone's got to do it, the NHS is not a charity. It is funded by the government. It's not a charity. It's funded, when I say by the government, it's not. It's funded by you and me when we pay our taxes, okay? That's where the funding for the NHS goes. Now, the government decides how much of that money goes into the NHS, and there is more money that they could use to put into the NHS. The NHS isn't short of money, but they decide not to, and that is a political decision. I'm just saying, okay? Raise money if it makes you feel better, but that isn't what you should do. What you should be doing is campaigning for the central government to release more money that they have, and they do have it, by the way, into the NHS. Good, good. Now, I think that's going to be more... Oh, wait a minute. There is something absolutely essential we have to deal with right now, and it's this. I have a great friend of mine who is in Russia. His name is Mikhail. He's based in Moscow, and he's got something to say about football, agents, and money. Mikhail. Yes, and so. Greetings from Moscow, you capitalist big dogs. Here in this Republic of Socialist Wonderfulness, we are very much better than you in England because we are superior. Yes, and so, your Hammerfest are playing the game of football again against the Wanderers of Hampton Wolves. This is good. I think West Ham must win or they shoot their players. No players in the stadium. Much like in Moscow in 1968. What we did was we rounded up poor people and made them watch. You should do the same if you cannot get enough supporters. Yes, and so, transfers. There will be some. Back to you pig dogs in London or anywhere in England. Pig dogs, fascists. Yes, and so. And that's Mikhail for you, people. I love the guy. He comes across as being a little bit harsh, but you know what? He's a lovely human being. And he had 4 of his own family executed, but 4 of them he just sent to the gulag, which goes to show what a soft heart he's got. Folks, I'll be back probably in 2 weeks. I might be back next week if something wild happens, but I doubt it will. I'll be back in 2 weeks when West Ham have done a football and played a match, and we'll talk about it. Until then, I love you all. Come on, you irons. Mwah. Don't forget you can follow me on Twitter at WHUMike and on Facebook. Do you know what? I'm not a big fan of Twitter. I do it a bit. I do the Twitter. I tweet occasionally, but I'm on Facebook quite a lot. So under my name, Mike Manera, and join me.